Okay, so got the headset and XR Origin set back up. I showed you the more streamlined and quick way of doing that. So now you should be experts in adding XR Origins and at least getting the headset and controllers to track. If you were struggling with that in the previous assignment and tutorials, hopefully just going through that quick follow-on tutorial will help you get kind of squared away. Now what we want to do is be able to add motion into our headset. We want to be able to move around the environment freely and not be constrained. So I talked about several different ways of doing that in class. Right now what I'm going to do in the interest of time, just so you can get to the good stuff, is just focus on the implementation, and we can talk more about why you should implement certain things in class or offline. So diving right in. What we want to do is we want to select our XR origin. We want to right click on that, come down to XR, and what we're looking for is a locomotion system. So we're going to need this locomotion system to manage how all of our movements take place inside of the VR game. And what you'll notice about the locomotion system is it automatically populates with a couple of different basic things turned on. So if you were to run the game right now, you would see that you could use your left or right hand controllers to potentially turn yourself. Actually, the setting is missing a couple things here. So what we would want to do is we want to come in here and tell it to use the default snap turn. So let's turn that on. You'll notice that when we did that, the system's a little funny, and for whatever reason deletes the locomotion system. So we need to drag that back on so that the system knows that it can control this. So now it's listening to our left thumb and right thumbsticks. So if you were to tap on those, you can turn 45 degrees just using your thumbsticks. So that's an okay feature, but we want to try and organize our movement system kind of in advance. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create a couple of different empty game objects. So the first one we're going to create is we'll just call it like snap turn. The next one we're going to create is called continuous move. And that would be like forward, back, and strafing left and right. And then the next one we're going to create is continuous turn. So that would be like just being able to freely turn around using the thumbstick like you were playing a first-person shooter. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this snap turn provider. We're going to actually drag that out of here. So it's no longer in our locomotion system. It's now located in our snap turn component here. This is just like a nice, easy, quick way of organizing things so that like you're not having to remember like where all of these actions are located. So now the next thing that we need to do is we need to come to the continuous move. We're going to add a new component, and we're going to add, you're going to type continuous, and we're going to pick the continuous move provider action based. Cool. And we're going to do what we did with the snap turn, and we're going to come up here and we're going to ask for the default settings. And now it's grabbed the default settings for us. But we still need to provide it some additional information, right? So again, it's missing the locomotion system. So we're going to drag that on. But we also need to provide it a forward direction, right? So what does forward mean? Well, for the most part, forward typically means where you're looking. So we need to actually grab our main camera and move that as the forward source because our main camera is attached to our headset tracking. So basically this is telling the system, hey, use my headset as what forward move is. And then we want some other settings here adjusted. So we want to make gravity immediate. We don't want gravity to be delayed in any way. We're going to bump the move speed up to 2. 1 is a little bit slow. And for right now, we're going to leave flying off. We don't need flying, but we do want strafing, and we do want to use gravity. Now, the other thing is, right now, if you have both checkboxes turned on, that would cause your right stick and your left stick on the controllers to both do the move forward side to side, left and right. Typically, we don't want that. So most games that you play on like console or PC, the left stick is used for forward, backwards, left and right. So we're just going to toggle this off and leave it blank for right now. Yeah, so we can toggle that off. And then what we can do is come over to the continuous turn. We're going to add the continuous turn provider, action based. We're going to add in its settings. All right. And remember, we're going to need to tell it where our locomotion system is coming from so that it knows to use that. Turn speed of 60, that's probably pretty good. And again, we don't need the left-hand turn action because the right hand will handle the turning from our right thumbstick. So now we're almost all the way there. Really, the only couple things we have left to do are to give our XR origin a player character. So if you remember at the very beginning of class, we had given our first person, beginner game a player character, right? A character controller, something that would act as a collider in the scene. And so you click on your XR origin, you're going to add that component, character controller, and then we want to go ahead and put our character notionally like on the ground, right, as a starting point. And we'll learn how to do some different things to kind of automate this sort of process and to kind of connect up the character height to the height of your headset and some stuff like that. But for right now, we'll just leave it as is, just so you can kind of get moving around your scene. But yeah, so we have the character controller now on our XR origin, and the only thing we need to do now is to add one other component, and that will be something called a vignette. So think of it like blinders on a horse, right? So some people are, sort of prone to motion sickness, and one way that we can help those people that may have some issues is to use something called a tunneling vignette. And what this tunneling vignette will do is we will add that to our main camera. And when we add it to our main camera, it's going to add this little like hemisphere in front of the camera system. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell this vignette provider when we want it to turn on versus when we want it to turn off. So we're going to hit that plus button. And we're going to ask it about the locomotion system. And we're going to ask it for anytime the player uses the continuous move that we set up down here. So we need to find that. And actually, let's rename this just so it's easier to find. Rename to continuous move vignette. Yeah, so we'll just rename it that for right now. You can name this something else if you want, but because I have another XR origin in my scene, I just don't want to confuse the name here. So come back over to the tunneling vignette and come back over here to this locomotion provider, and now go ahead and click, and you can see that the different things are on here. So let's go ahead and select that one, and let's go ahead and select the one for the snap turning, or for the the continuous turning as well. And so now what this will do is it'll listen for whenever you're using the movement function or the turning function on the controller, it'll go ahead and it'll allow the little vignette thing to show up. Now the last thing that we need to do is we need to decide, do we want to use snap turn or do we want to use continuous turn? If we want to use just the continuous turn, we're going to need to go ahead and just disable this component for right now. now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to uncheck it. That will tell the system, hey, ignore snap turn for right now. And honestly, this is how you programmatically would deal with this. So like, let's say you set up a menu in your game and gave your user the option to snap turn versus continuous turn by like toggling a button. You'd essentially be doing this same thing in game, basically turning off this component and turning on this one, or turning this one off and turning that one off. All right, so if we've got everything set up correctly, then when I hit play, I should be able to move freely through the environment. All right, so as you can see, I am now in the scene. For some reason, my vignette is showing automatically, so we need to go back and check those settings. But you can see I can move forward, I can move backwards, I can slide to the right, I can slide to the left, and I can continuously turn. So very cool. All right, so let's very quickly just go back and double check our settings. And we'll try and figure out real quickly why the that little black border was showing up on the camera scene. So let me take a quick look. Need to go back and double check that these are set up correctly. So let's just take a quick pause. Okay, so I went ahead and double checked, and so the reason that the vignette was showing up is because of the fact that we had set this to immediate. So I think what might be happening is that when the tunneling sort of vignette is looking for or trying to determine whether or not you're moving, it may be seeing the effect of gravity on you um, as a movement effect and causing the vignette to show up. So what you want to do is you want to go back to continuous move, and you want to switch this from immediately to attempting to move. And when you do that and then hit play or load up your game, now the vignette should only appear when you're moving. So again, I'm in my headset, looking around, and now when I hit on the thumbstick, you can see the little tunneling vignette sort of turn on. I turn the same. So that's all there is to it, and now you should be able to freely drive around your scene, hopefully not getting sick thanks to the tunneling vignette. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you decide whether or not you want to use continuous versus discrete movement and things like the tunneling vignette on kind of a project by project basis. But hopefully that's a quick and easy way of getting you set up, and I'll follow this tutorial up with a couple other videos that go into physics-based motion and also features like teleportation and flying in case you want to be able to use those as well. But this will get you off the ground so that you can at least reasonably explore your environments.